Hello and welcome back. This is David from the Personal Finance Squad. We just finished up with section 8.6. We saw Jasper consolidate his balances by getting a lower rate on the credit cards that he's paying today. So a consolidation effort took place to take the balances and transfer them over, in his case a zero interest introductory offer for 18 months. And that allowed him to knock a significant amount of his balance down. Okay, so now what we need to do is look at situations where a lower interest rate cannot be achieved. So this means a lower interest rate than what you currently pay now, or down to the 0% interest rate for that time period that Jasper received. In reality, there's a lot of people out there with credit card debt, so it is important to know how to actually pay down the balances to the most efficient and financial way possible. So there's two schools of thought here. The first one is paying the lowest balance first. That is based on two things. A snowball effect is the first one. So let's just say there's 5 loans out there that you have. Say that's 11. 2 and 5K. So what the snowball effect is it just picks up steam, right? As a snowball goes around down the mountain, it gets bigger and bigger, bigger, gets faster, right? Well, that's kind of what the thought is here with the debt, is that you have 1,000 here, 2 here, and 2 here, and let's say you knocked out 5 grand. Well, then you're only left with 11K and a 5K. And what this is a psychological effect. This is a feeling. It feels good to have accomplishment. Rather than thinking and walking around saying, hey, I have 5 credit cards that I got to pay down, now you're thinking, I only have to pay 2. And for some people, that really matters. For some folks out there, some financial experts who believe that that is a better way to go about it, I can tell you from my opinion, I still don't think that's the right way to go. I would not recommend it. The bottom line of what we do in the squad is to always put more money in your pocket and not someone else's. So if you've gotten yourself in this trouble, the bottom line is when you're done paying the highest interest rate first, you will pay less money out to the creditors. If you choose to go the other way, that's your choice. It's just important to know how it works, and that's what we're going to get into next. So let's get into a sample. Now Jasper had a furniture and a credit card in his budget, and we're only using it for effect because we've been talking about the same bills, expenses, savings vehicles throughout the entire building of the budget, so we want to keep them there for familiarity. But in this case, he doesn't have these debts per se. So let's look at the grid here, and we see the first thing that sticks out is that the APR is 24% for furniture. Both rates are actually pretty high. Now the balance for furniture is $1,000 less than the credit card. But the big thing here, it should really matter, is the interest. And that is $100, and it's $15 more than it is for the credit card. Now the thing that sticks out here is that $300 is being applied to it, yet it has less interest. And then over here, the furniture is just receiving the minimum payment every month. So when you analyze this data, $147 is given more to the credit card, which could be given to the furniture instead. But the only way to know this is to carry out the math. So let's go with the first school of thought, and that was paying the lowest interest first. So if we run through the numbers, we can see that 23 months, and that's what it'll take to pay off that card. And $982.46 in interest will be totally accumulated and paid. Now you can see what happens here is that when this 23rd month is done, and this is going to happen with any cards that you pay off to create the snowball effect, or the snowball effect would happen no matter what, paying off multiple cards. When one is done, you're going to have more money to accumulate to throw into the next card. So we have a partial month here in the 23rd month, so there's an additional $306 in that 23rd month that can be applied toward the other card. So that would be the credit card straight up. So now instead of $120, $170, you get a $427 number, and then subsequently you get $453 because the total amount toward the credit cards was $453. If we go back up here and take a quick peek, which is right here. Okay, so when the math is all ran out, which is easier to do behind the scenes or through a calculator that you can do online. Once we get through this, we'll show you how to do that. But here's the total amount of interest. So that's the first set. Now we're going to go through the second set and we'll compare these numbers. So this is certainly things you don't have to remember. We'll see it in the little grid below and in another sheet here. Now the next school of thought is paying the highest interest card first. And now you can see what happens here is the budget changes. So here's the highest interest, right? 185 respectively. But this minimum payment is 153, so the budget's going to stick with that 153. And then we're going to make an assessment and go, you know what? We don't want that 153. We want the entire amount of every dollar we can get toward the furniture because it's charging the most interest. So we're going to change that and go to 331.30. Now the minimum payment is here for the card at 121.70, so the old budget payment is gone. And now the new payment is the minimum at the 121.70. Okay. And by the way, just for a balance effect, that equals 453. So if we make the new budget payment at 331.30 every month into a zero balance, you can see it actually gets paid off a little quicker than the first card in the other scenario, and the accumulated interest is a little over $1,000. And in the same occurrence, in the 20th month, there's some leftover money. And that is $283.20. We add that to the 121, and that 1 month temporary payment is $404.72. And then for the months going forward, it gets to the same thing as the last cycle, as that entire $453 can be applied to the card, and that'll pay it off in the 33rd month. And you can see the interest is $2,044.6. Okay, so again, those numbers probably don't mean so much, so let's go down here and take a peek how it all shakes out. And by the way, these little grids here, just so you can see, they're just for effect to see how the payment goes and how they build. Because you don't really see this when you run a financial calculator. If you go on the internet and when you run credit card payoff calculators, you don't see all this. Now, there's some that might let you see the schedule, but you know, this is more something we've crunched. The whole point is you can run these with a calculator. Do not have to see all of this broken out unless you want to. You just know what the right answer is, how the math works out. So if we go to an interest comparison here, we have the two scenarios. We have pay off highest card first. So the furniture was receiving the most interest. They got $331.30, and the minimum payment was just made on the credit card until this is paid off. So here's the interest amounts we were talking about before, and we see a grand total of $3,056.28. And then on the inverse, the lowest card first, the credit card received $331.30 and the furniture got $121.70. And then we add up those numbers and we see a total calculation of $3611.12. So we can see that the interest is less on the highest card first method than it is the lowest card first method by $554.84. Now every card scenario is different, interest rates are different, owing balances is different. The whole point is to make sure that you understand interest. What is charging the most interest on the cards? That again is the plan of attack. And you knock one out and then you go to the next one that's doing the same thing and you keep doing that and keep doing that and keep doing that. Now what we didn't show you here, which you could choose to do, is that if you had $331.30 for the one card and $121.70, what we did here, just so you know, is we just kept the payments consistent. Technically, being that this is the minimum payment, you know every month this number of $121.70 is actually going to reduce. It might be by $1 or $2, and you could actually say, if this went down to $119.70, you technically could turn around and pay $333.30 if you wanted to. We just didn't do it that way. But again, if you have a long stretched out credit card, meaning it's going to take 2, 3, 4 years to pay off, then this is a method you might want to follow. And all you have to do is look at your credit card statement. So if you were in this scenario, you just see every month you look over here and say, hey, my minimum payment is less than what it was. And then you know your minimum payment here is less, but the difference is you're sticking to your budget of $330, $130, which is over the min payment, and you add that money on. It's a really simple thing. You could change your payment every month online if you wanted to. So just keep that in mind. It's a little bit of an option, but it's not huge in the scheme of things, but it can make a difference, again, if you have huge balances to pay off. So I hope you can see the value here that, again, paying off the highest card first is the plan of attack. And if you choose to go the other way for a psychological snowball effect, then that's your option. But here in the squad, we want more money to stay with us. I think that's what we're going to do at this point, is conclude this section. And we will get into section 8.8 about diverting additional cash in your budget to pay off multiple cards. Thanks again for joining, and we will see you in the next video.